Hello everyone, it's Jeff here again with you. This time it's for another contest video. I've been meaning to make this one for a while now. And I've kind of been on a break from the VC for the last almost week. So this is for Steve Carlson's 200 subscriber contest. And I've been following Steve for a little while now. He's got great taste in music, and he certainly puts some a little more production value into his videos than I do, which is basically what you see here is what you get. And he's very enjoyable to watch. I enjoy the stuff he shows and just seeing him on camera. So I wanted to support his channel and by entering his contest. And of course, I think this is the biggest prize that's ever been offered on a VC contest. A cool $100 to the winner. I guarantee that's drawn a lot of people out of the woodwork for this contest, Steve, because I know when I did my contest, my Crazy Eights contest, and I offered $80, I discovered all kinds of people I never even knew existed. So, but your channel is great, and I watch you no matter what, because you're a good guy. Friends with him on Facebook as well. It seems like you do a lot of traveling. So if you're ever in Chicago, if your travels ever bring you to Chicago, let me know. I got a few good places that I think you'll like, because I know he shows a lot of food pictures in his on his Facebook feed. I got a few places that I think you're really going to like. So if you ever are up this way and you know it, give me a little bit of advance warning, because I'm a shift worker. So my schedule is very fluid. But yeah, let me know, and we'll tip a few back, and we'll have some good food. So, all right. His contest is relatively simple. It's called Don't Worry, Be Happy. And all you have to do is show 5 albums, 5 cassettes, or even just 5 songs that make you happy. And it's very simple. So I've got 5 albums here that I've chosen, and they all have pleasant memories attached to them, or they bring me back to a place that I was where it marked a point in my memory. And you'll see when I go along here. Moondance is the first album, I'm just diving right in, that I'm choosing for this entry. Probably, well, it's kind of hard to say that this is my favorite Van Morrison album, because he's made so many that could fit under that title, but for me, Moondance is just probably his most chill record. You can put this on, and it eases my mind. It relaxes me. You know, it's a favorite of my wife's, and the title track, Moondance, is a favorite of ours to kind of dance to a little bit romantically. So that's why whenever I hear anything off this album, it automatically puts me in a more pleasant, more happier frame of mind. Moondance by Van Morrison. Speaking of my wife, when we had met in college in the early 90s, this album was all over the radio, or at least all over the station that I listened to. It's by Crowded House. It's called Woodface. Front to back, this is really just a classic album. So anytime I hear songs off of this one, it reminds me of that very happy time where you're kind of you've fallen in love, and you're getting to know the person, and you just can't stop thinking about them, and all you want to do is be with them. And yeah, I don't want to get super duper personal, but anytime I hear songs off of this album, like especially a song like "It's Only Natural," what else is here? "Four Seasons in One Day," "Tall Trees." This is all. I mean, front to back, this is a great album. And I deliberately sought this one out when I got back into vinyl, and it took me years to find a copy. But I think since I got it, of course, it's been reissued, I think. I'm not sure. But this is an OG copy. And every time I play it, it just reminds me of those early days where I was falling in love with my wonderful wife. That's a very long story, though, and I think I've told bits and pieces of it over the year in my videos. But maybe someday I'll just put it all together and tell you the whole story. But for now, for the purposes of this contest, because I don't want it to be such a long video, Woodface by Crowded House is an album that makes me happy. Now we're going back a little bit further in history. Purple Rain by Prince in 1984, when it came out, was, how can I put this? Basically, if you wanted to hang out with girls, you had to like this album, because I don't think there was a single girl that I knew who didn't love this album. And at first, I mean, this one took a while to grow on me. Like, I wasn't a big Prince fan when this came out, which was my early high school years. I think in '84, I was just starting high school as a freshman. So, you know, it was kind of, the music it just didn't do it for me. But over the years, I've gotten to really love this album. And listening to it now, it reminds me of those days, you know, in the early to mid '80s when it was just a happier, more carefree time. And honest to God, every single girl I knew, all they did was talk about this album. All they did was talk about the movie. All they did was talk about Prince. So if you wanted to hang out with the girls in my neck of the woods, you had to like Prince. And my damn dog just bumped me, stupid dog. I'm trying to be happy here. But anyway, Purple Rain by Prince is certainly grown in stature, in my opinion, to me personally. And I love it regardless, but still when I hear, you know, say like When Doves Cry or Let's Go Crazy, it just reminds me of those high school girls that were just huge Prince fans back in the day. So thinking about that makes me happy because, you know, I didn't have bills to deal with. I didn't have a house to deal with. I didn't have, you know, any of the adult problems that come along with being an adult. So this, listening to this makes me happy, takes me back a little bit. Also from 1984, this was the album I was listening to the most in 1984, Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. Certainly a front-to-back classic. I think this is probably his biggest hit. And, I mean, just from beginning to end, this album takes you on a ride. And once again, it just reminds me of the summer of '84. I remember the day this was released. I'm getting old, man. I'm old. And yeah, the back cover is just the same as the front. This is my original copy from then. It still sounds pretty good. It's, you know, it's gotten several thousand plays on it, so it's, you know, maybe someday I'll upgrade it to a newer copy. But once again, this just reminds me of a more younger, carefree time. You know, the 80s was kind of like, the 80s was when I grew up. You know, I was a teenager then. And just discovering life and figuring out things that would help me in my later years as an adult. So, pleasant memories are always associated with this record. Even though the subject matter of some of these songs isn't all that pleasant, still, You put Dancing in the Dark on, and you're going to see this kid boogieing just as good as Springsteen did. Yeah, I'm not going to, okay. But enough said. Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen makes me a happy camper. And finally, this album here by Boston. This is their first album, their self-titled album. Pretty much the only album by Boston that you really need, in my opinion, because this is pretty much, it's their first album, but it's like a greatest hits. And in the summer of '87, I had just gotten my license, my driver's license, and I just got a car, my very first car, which was a '67 Plymouth Fury, which was about the size of my living room here on 4 wheels. That car was huge. And you could fit like 6 or 7 people in there. It was a 4-door, but they had these big long bench seats, and you could just like fit your entire crew in there and just cruise around, and it was awesome. All it had was power steering and a heater. Those were the only options it had. And I had to yank the AM radio out of the dash and put AM/FM cassette in there, because cassettes were the hot thing back then too. You can't listen to records in your car, can you? I can't. So I had this album on cassette, and I've since owned it on, I think, every other format too, CD, obviously, and vinyl. And listening to this reminds me of those days in 1987 in the summer. Gas was 74 cents a gallon. Yeah, so you put, $5 in the tank and you were good to go. And just freedom, because all I did was drive. All I did was cruise around as much as I could. And my buddy had a Camaro, with the T-tops. It was an '84 Camaro. We would go everywhere in that car too. And this was one of the albums that served as a soundtrack to that time. So anytime I hear a song off of this album, it always reminds me of being happy and just being, getting that sense of freedom that I could go wherever I wanted. I wasn't limited to walking or bike riding. I could drive anywhere. Of course, my own kids, they're completely opposite. I can't even kick them out of the house. But nevertheless, Boston's first album makes me very happy in that regard, because it reminds me of that first feeling of driving freedom. Of course, that's a feeling that's since been ground away in the 30 years since I've had my license, but this kind of recharges that every so often. So on a warm summer day, with the windows down or the top down, you put this on and you will feel good, because I know I sure will. So those are the albums that I've chosen for this contest, and you could also get a second entry in the contest by telling a story about, like what makes you happy with listening to music and collecting music. And for me, I have to say, and I think I may have said this before, getting back into vinyl and discovering the VC and interacting with the VC has really restored restored my faith in humanity a little bit, because there's so many people out here that are so positive and thoughtful and giving that it's just, the generosity that I've received has just floored me. And I've tried to return that in kind as best I can. But, just the act of putting on a record, listening to it, or, a couple times at least, and then talking about it on a video here and sharing it with everyone and getting responses back is just amazing to me. So, for me, collecting music and listening to it primarily through vinyl records has really, like I said, it's really kind of restored my faith in humanity. Because I've never come across a group of people on the internet that have been so cool for so long. You know, interacting on other forms of social media, or even, you know, message boards back in the day, if there still are message boards, I don't know. Sometimes it tends to bring out the worst in people because there's no consequence in being a jerk online. So once my trepidation of posting videos passed and I got to know a lot of people out here in the VC, it's made things so much better and so much easier for me to open up a little and share, you know, my thoughts on music, a little bit about my life, and just communicating. Because I don't do that enough in my real life. I mean, my job, you know, I'm essentially alone most of the time. At most, I might have, you know, I have a partner, a shift partner, but, you know, if you don't feel like talking that night, you don't have to. So it's good for me to get out there more and interact with people more. So that's really been the joy for me in collecting music and listening to music, besides, you know, discovering great albums that I'd never really paid attention to before, or even whole genres of music that I didn't even know existed. So that's kind of my story for the bonus entry. It's not one specific thing. It's kind of just the overall experience that I've had in the VC that's really, like I said, it's really made me like people a little bit better. So, yeah, my wife can tell you all about that. Anyway, I hope that's a good enough answer for a bonus entry, Steve. Like I said, I love your channel. I always make a point to watch your videos, even if I don't always comment on every single one. But that's no knock at all, because I don't comment on every single video I watch. But like I said, if you're ever up Chicago way, give me a call. Let me know. You can message me on Facebook if you want to. There's a couple places minutes from my house that I think you're really going to like. So, and it's real Chicago pizza, not that deep dish crap. That's tourist stuff. We'll take you to a real Chicago bar, a tavern, and get you some real Chicago pizza. So, just throwing it out there. But thank you for running this contest. I'm sure it will be very successful for you and blow up your subscriber count. And good luck to everyone else that's in the contest. And this is Jeff. I'll be back soon with another Spin Zone. I'll see you all then. All my friends in Florida, I hope you're safe. I hope the hurricane didn't hurt you at all in any way. We're always thinking about you up here. We don't get hurricanes in Chicago. You know, we get tornadoes. In the winter, we'll get, you know, blizzards, but no hurricanes. That's what being landlocked will get you, I guess. But anyway, take care, everyone. I'll see you soon. Peace.